What's the worst that can happen? Oh, it's down. We just heard from the mechanic in Quito who's stripping apart our gearbox, and he's given us some really bad news.
So now we're finally on the ramp. Today is the day we start ripping all the rest of it apart. Now we were just going to take out the box, but I think we're going to take the engine and the radiator as well, because they're going to spray underneath completely with some protective paint, and they need access to do that. Also some repairs around the engine mounts, which is probably easier if the engine isn't there. So it's going to be a dirty, busy kind of day, and if we get that done, then we'll be taking off the front suspension beam as well. So it's just rip it all apart again time. It's been a whole year since we did this, so at least we had a year in between, I suppose. Let's get started.
Engine crane is out, which means it's time for our favourite party trick. Who's ready to watch us drop the engine and the gearbox in a couple of hours? I've lost track of the amount of times we've taken this damn gearbox out now. More than I'd care to count back, to be honest with you, but at least we're pretty good at it by now. This is like your favourite job on Ruby, isn't it? You have to do it at least once a year.
It's like having a birthday.
Happy anniversary for removing the engine day.
Dame la pistola, una 17.
Is
How many YouTube? What's the worst that can happen? Coming down. Oh.
It's fine, it's fine. Stop. Okay. Just check it. Alright, easy. Okay. Disconnected everything.
Which is?
Well, fuel lines, electrics, water, everything, because we're actually going to take it out, which we wouldn't normally do. So we just got to disconnect the gearbox.
It's going well?
Yeah, I think so.
Listo. Métele. Ahí, vamos. Solo se está bajando nomás.
Right, so we are pretty much set. The engine's on the engine crane, and we are dropping the gearbox onto a jack, and then we're going to put them both on the ground, lift Ruby up, and then we can pull them both out. Sounds simple, right? It's down. What's next? Disconnect it, lift Ruby up.
I mean, yeah, it's out, it's just on the floor. So, I mean, it's the first time I've taken the engine out, not because it's broken.
It's a win.
But, yeah, good.
Oh, other than the excruciating pain in my back, we're doing alright. way. Okay. How does it feel to have people doing some of the work for you? Weird.
Have to like watch.
You're watching, make sure they do everything to your standard.
I don't trust him, it's just that I'm not used to.
She's a control freak.
I'm allowed to be a control freak when you need to wait 2 months for a part.
Okay, fair point.
I see.
And this is where the magic happens normally. Ruby's beating heart, pushing us all up and down the Andes Mountains. Lots of pipes and wires at the moment, but it looks less rusty than normally. The welding we got done in Chi is holding it pretty well, so cheers Marrow. For those of you who are really into the specifics and are wondering what our gearbox is, we are running a larger VW gearbox. It's got 6 ribs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Why are we running a 6-rib box?
Supposed to have a stronger differential.
Okay, and what happened to our first gearbox?
The differential blew up. But not because of a strength issue, because we had water, God knows how water got in. And don't tell me it's through the breather, because it wasn't through the breather, so I don't know how it got in.
So we didn't show this in our videos because we didn't do Mexico, but we had to buy a whole new box, which we ran for a little bit, and then this time last year when we blew the engine in Panama, if you've seen those videos, you would have seen that we had this box rebuilt and we had our uprated gears put back in, right?
We basically put in the whole 2 gear shafts, but the guy couldn't get any parts at all, so he reused everything, including the old shitty bearings, and that's why we are here today.
Okay, so maybe today we are going back to Quito to drop it off.
I think if I understood correctly.
Well,
We've got to pick up his gearbox.
We'll see in a bit, okay? Make yourself comfortable, as I'm going to tell you a tale. I'm going to tell you the story about how we decided to have a hardwood interior. Now, every summer, before we did the trip, we used to go to a VW festival called Bus Fest. It's one of, if not the biggest VW festival in Europe. The first time we went, actually, we just hired a VW camper and spent 5 days travelling around the south of Wales in it, and that's what confirmed to us that we wanted to do this trip and buy Ruby. We used to go to this festival and have a walk around and try and get inspiration for how we wanted Ruby to be when we bought her, and then we continued to go after we had her to continue this idea. And I still remember it, there was this one company who did solid wood interiors, and so we went, as soon as we went over to have a look, I think we both knew that solid wood interior was what we wanted for Ruby and for the trip. Durable, hard to damage. So we inquired about the price, and we were shocked to hear that it was almost 6,000 English pounds, which is mental. Now, fortunately for us, Willow's dad has quite a professional wood shop in his garage. And so what we decided was we were going to do it ourselves. Now, Anthony, Willow's dad, had connections in East Sussex and knew a guy who conveniently had a plot of land full of wood which he planked and sold for his business. So one miserable day when we were visiting Willow's parents down south, Anthony took us to this tree yard to have a look around, and we're looking at trees, and Anthony points to one in the distance through the drizzle and goes, "That's an ash tree." And I know absolutely nothing about trees. So I'm like, "Oh, hi, Anthony, that sounds good." No idea. Willow obviously knows a little bit more than me. And apparently the good thing about ash is it's a really nice light colour and it's quite lightweight for a hardwood. And so that was basically it. We went, "We'll have that." And we bought the wood, the big piece of tree, and paid about 80 quid, I think, for the tree.
Yes, I think.
Less than 80 quid, and that was it. It was picked up, planked for us, and it made its way to Willow's parents' house. From there, it was painstakingly dried out, and then when it had a moisture level that was good enough to build with so it wouldn't bend and warp. One summer when Willow finished teaching, she went down to her parents and she started building what you see in front of you. And I don't regret it for a minute. I think having a solid wood interior looks luxurious. And although this is hard work right now, when we're done, it's gonna look pucker again. I can tell a good story when I want to, right?
What do you hear?
I sound...
You sound.
Oh.
No, I'm not deleting it. Keep going.
I hear the sweet sound of metal upon rust.
Somebody is working on Ruby.
Buenos dias. Things are literally flying now. Ruby's on the ramp. The guys in the garage are already taking Ruby apart, sanding down the bodywork, preparing to put some new metal and filler on. It's kind of exciting. She's going to look so amazing. We used to be so proud of her when we first got her done, and then we kind of lost that. Now we kind of used to apologising for leaving piles of rubble everywhere. Not anymore. It's crazy just how bad it is, but it's gonna look good.
So with the gearbox out, it's time to find something else to be getting on with. They need to wash and paint and do their thing. But there's always something broken you can have a look at. So today I'm going to see if we can see why we have a huge fuel leak out of the side of the filler, because that's a bit of a hazard. I don't remember for how long, but this leaks a lot of fuel, and you can see I've taken it out. Here's our filler neck. That'll do it. Add it to this pile, which is the repair pile.
Okay, things are progressing. I've just popped into town to get some cash out. Willow's on her way with a guy who's going to take us to Quito to drop off the gearbox to the VW specialists. So once that's there, they can take it apart, put it back together again with better bearings, and hopefully we're all set to collect it next week. This is getting exciting. list of car parts.
My list. Oh no, this is what I want.
More money.
And we're also trying to find this.
Can we just keep it black? Change Ruby's colour completely.
Statement.
Get a bit more gothic.
Might be a bit weird.
Got a new hat from Donatsu.
Astu.
Astu. That's what I said. Astu.
You got.
Brand new panel in place.
Gracias, amigos.
Thank you. So how much is our new panel setting us back?
$280.
$280, but it's so much better than trying to repair what we've got, because you'll spend $50, $60, $70 getting it welded, but there's going to be more problems like a month later.
And they wanted $250 for a second-hand panel, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Es mejor.
Oh dear me. Oh dear.
It's scary how much has been cut away, but you can see it's going to look proper reinforced when
Look, it's doing real things, proper things, building up all the inside and everything.
Oh, it's awesome. Told you you'd lose it. We've just heard from the mechanic in Quito who's stripping apart our gearbox, and he's given us some really bad news.
He confirmed what we thought, that the bearings were knackered, which is what we expected.
Yeah, and that's not the bad news.
No, that's kind of what we were hoping it was, but the problem is the bearings are so damaged that it's damaged the differential as well now.
Yeah, we think all the extra driving we did to renew our visa in Quito was the final straw, and when we were rushing to get to the aduana at the airport, we were pushing the engine quite hard, and at one point the gearbox started making a much louder noise, so we were thinking that's when it potentially broke.
I mean, it's very hard to drive here and not push the gearbox because it's so hilly.
So we've damaged one of the teeth on the differential, and it's a massive problem because we don't have a standard gearbox for South America, which means the part's really hard to find. And it's an expensive part anyway, which means we've got to try and, we can't find it here, we've got to find it elsewhere and get it imported in.
Which will probably only be possible from America. This is the reason we swapped our box before, because it was the broken diff and it's very hard and very expensive to get it, so.
He said he could put it back in and we could run it with a damaged tooth, but he's not confident it will last a year, especially with our more powerful engines, which is not something we want to do. So
I really hate like doing a half job, and then I hate putting something back and knowing that it's going to have to come out again. Like, that sucks.
We're still trying to process it at the moment, and we're not quite sure what the plan is at the moment. It's
a very
tough.
Small chance that we can get it here.
Yeah, we're going to spend the rest of the day trying to see if it's possible to find it in Ecuador, and then if not, we're going to have to try and first of all find it and then raise some funds to pay for it, because yeah, it's going to cost us the best part of £1,000 to buy it and get it here potentially.
Yeah, because also the weight obviously is really heavy, so if you're going to freight it in, it's quite expensive in terms of weight.
So we're finishing the week with a bit of a downer and ending this video on a bit of a downer as well.
You couldn't expect us to not have
something
going wrong.
It was going so well. I just don't know what it is, but this year is cursed.
It is.
So yeah, join us next time, and hopefully,
More positive news.
yeah, hopefully
next
things
time.
are taking a turn and they're getting better again. And yeah, we'll go from there. Swear to God, if you say storage full, I'm going to smash you.